Sonic Truth, Dynasty-focused fantasy football podcast. Alan Seslowsky of RotoWire.com, along with the Podfather and Theo Gremminger. Guys, last week we did a Dynasty Superflex rookie mock draft. Very popular because everyone is still in their rookie drafts. I know I still have like 20 plus of them left, but I don't want to forget our single quarterback friends, meaning those who still play in non-Superflex leagues. They want to know who to pick, where to take the quarterbacks, Theo. So I think this will be a very meaningful and actionable exercise today.
No Superflex crutch for you, Alan. No leaning into those quarterback picks. You're going to have to actually make some decisions. I play a lot of single. I know you're completely Superflex, but I still have a ton of single QB leagues. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one.
So, Theo, you do play in single quarterback. This isn't just like our friends. This is just like people we pity out there. We're not just like taking care of, the downtrodden single quarterback people. Theo does single quarterback leagues.
A lot. Yeah. I have a lot of single QB action. I have a lot of Superflex action, but I still love a good single QB league. Got to find.
I don't want to isolate these people and alienate them. It's all good. There's no better league. It's just whatever format your league prefers is the league you prefer. That's it. That's all it is. Yeah. And then if the majority want to move to Superflex, they will. And if they don't, they won't. That's fine. Yeah, it's fine. There's no judgment here, Alan.
I don't judge. But here's the age-old question. Let's say that there are some league members that want to go from single to Superflex, right? I mean, there's a lot of different ways you could do it. Do you need to necessarily start the league over, or do you have to say, hey, in 2 seasons, we're going to Superflex? Podfather, what do you think is the best way to persuade your league and move it over to Superflex from single quarterback?
Dude, who doesn't want to do a brand new startup?
There you go.
Absolutely. You got to give people notice, though.
Yeah.
Right? You got to give notice. You got to give in 2 years, this league will self-destruct. And we're going to do a brand new startup. So then you have the fun of the startup. Startup drafts are great. And the people that have a championship team, like everything that they've built, maybe they had a productive struggle and it took them time to get to this place, and now it's time to get the payoff. They still get the multiple seasons of payoff before everything implodes.
Yep. All right. So, Theo, do you have a preference, by the way? Do you, or just, love all your children the same between your single quarterback and Superflex leagues?
I'd say I'm pretty even. I play a lot of FFPC, and I think my FFPC action is definitely probably more single than Superflex. But pretty much all of the startups I've been doing recently have been Superflex, whether it's FFPC or my fantasy league or on Sleeper. I think most new startups, people are leaning into Superflex, but I got a lot of single QB leagues, Alan. A lot of them are monsters. A lot of them that I never really want to orphan and kind of get out of. So I'm gonna stick with them for a while. We're gonna see what happens.
Yeah, the reason people are snobby, I saw a comment from Slashy about single quarterback versus Superflex is because it's considered, and it doesn't mean it's true, but the narrative is that it's a little bit more sophisticated, just like PPR versus, quote, standard argument from 5 years ago, Podfather.
So Tyler Knable says that in his league, what they're going to do, they're switching to Superflex, and they're going to keep 1 QB on the roster, and then they're going to auction off all the remaining QBs. So you keep 12, and then the rest get auctioned off.
Yeah, that seems, as long as everyone, or the majority, the super majority, 9 people out of 12 agree to it, I'm always going to be down. But obviously the people that have Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, they're going to vote for this. Someone that's been moving along with Jared Goff and, Mac Jones is going to be like, hey, I'm against this. So, all right. Anyway, guys, let's get a quick word from our sponsor, FFPC, and then let's jump right into this mock draft. First, though, word from FFPC.
Hey, why do we partner with the FFPC? Because they have the widest variety of fantasy football formats, and it's the easiest place to find all types of fantasy football contests in the world. What if you want to play for high stakes? Well, they have a $6 million prize pool with their Fantasy Players Championship. They also have way too early best ball leagues that start in February and Dynasty leagues. They have the closest thing to a liquid market for orphans that there is in all of Dynasty. And the FFPC has sponsored us for half a decade because we are actually delivering information that can help fantasy gamers, and they're generating so much interest and bringing in so many new users, casual users even. The FFPC creates a unique experience where you can both compete against the best and make money. Use promo code Underworld to get $25 off your first team. $25 off your first team at the FFPC with promo code Underworld. Go get it. Off we go.
Yeah, Podfather, I'm having a little PTSD, and I have to say here, because if you remember, our first interaction, how we met, was I was still working for Roster Watch at the time.
Okay.
And we competed in a Roto Underworld at the time versus Roster Watch single quarterback.
Okay, can you hold on to this thought for a moment? Why are you bringing this up now?
Because I'm having a little
Alan,
PTSD.
we've talked about this in the past. We were supposed to talk about it later when the pick that you're about to talk about actually comes in. And then we were going to pretend like, oh, we were just remembering this for the first time, and I just happen to have the video right handy, a click away. This is the magic of television. Why are you ruining the magic of television?
Jumping the gun, Alan.
What? Shut up. Stop talking. We're going to get into this. Why? We haven't even made a pick yet.
Setting it up for the callback.
Don't set it up. We got it. Make it so it feels
organic,
serendipitous that I just happen to have this clip right 2 clicks away. I guess this is a crazy coincidence.
All right, fair enough, guys. Single quarterback. We start 3 wide receivers and 2 flexes or 3 flexes.
How are you gonna try to tee that up now before we even start picking? What were you gonna say?
A sneak preview, a nostalgic moment for the
you were
old
gonna
school
run.
Sonic
You wanted
Youth
me to
listeners.
run the video clip now?
No.
What were you gonna say that would have possibly made the show better?
I was hoping to say, hey, this is bringing back a little PTSD, and I can't promise you that it won't go the same way. Let's see how the picks go. I like high-end quarterbacks, so I just wanted to kind of soften the landing.
But you have to understand, there's a whole bunch of people out there. You've listened to Howard Stern and others that explain how radio works. There's so many people that don't remember that at all.
Well, that's why I was explaining.
And by you spoiling it and basically giving away the game and alluding to what your pick is going to be, you're ruining it for all those people that don't remember that didn't tune into that show. Half of the audience doesn't remember that show or never heard it or saw it.
Fair enough. But with that said, guys, single quarterback league, tight end premium, right? 1.5, 3 receivers, 3 flexes, 2 running backs. Off we go. Podfather, you're on the clock in our single. We got to set up the screen here. Single quarterback, Dynasty rookie mock draft for those who are in single quarterback.
I'm on the clock right now.
OTC.
Oh man, I gotta think about this. Who would I take? Oh man, I don't know. Who would I take? Let me go to the Dynasty rankings on PlayerProfiler.com. Let me filter by rookie. Oh boy,
Such a tough one, Matt. It's a
tricky one.
Yeah, I'll give you Xavier Worthy. There it is. That's your
man,
pick.
you better not. I am going to go. I know this is shocking. I'm going to go Marvin Harrison.
Yep. I mean, he's the pick in all formats. He's this year's Bijan, right? There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You're up.
Well, only
Theo.
because I want to make sure I get some Harrison, and the only way you're going to get Harrison in this format is if you take him at the 101. I actually think that Neighbors and Harrison should be closer, but I still lean Harrison. He has the draft capital. He has the quarterback. He has the target-rich environment. Everything is. I like him for a lot of the same reasons I like a running back that we're going to talk about a little bit later, where we actually have a particular running back ranked higher than a consensus rookie RB1 overall. So we're going to get into that, but I really like this Arizona offense. I think it's Arizona offense. It's going to be fireworks this year.
So just real quick before Theo makes his pick, are you going to be a little bit higher on Kyler Murray then? I mean, he's like QB 8 or 9 or 10. Are you going to be like QB 5, QB 4 on him?
I'm in on Murray. I'm in on everybody. I'm just in on this Arizona fireworks display in the sky.
Theo. Whose wooing is that?
I don't know.
It's Matt.
I don't know, man. Yeah, that's one of my homemade sound effects. It's not as good as my homemade fart sound effects, but it's up there.
Theo on the clock, 102.
I mean, it's an easy one here at the 102. Matt alluded to Malik Neighbors. I think Harrison Jr., you have to take him at the 101, especially with the landing spot, especially with the quarterback play. But Neighbors has a shot at being the highest targeted rookie wide receiver in the league this year. I think he is the offensive focal point of New York right out the gate. I think he's going to be great, and he's a guy that I want a ton of in Dynasty.
All right, that's fair, and especially when Dak Prescott is the Giants quarterback next year, you'll be very happy that you have him. All right, guys, we're talking about a tight end 1.75 premium. I just changed it from 1.5. I'm taking Brock Bowers here. I know that it's a choice between him and maybe a couple other players that are on there, but these elite tight ends are so hard to get. I know some people just like, I'm happy with David Njoku. I'm not. I want one of the elite guys. This is the place to get him. I'm going to take Brock Bowers in a tight end premium, and I would not do that in a stock format.
And I'll say that our friend Darren Armani of Fantasy Mojo, he kind of reported how all the FFPC leagues have gone. So when you're talking about tight end premium scoring, it was actually Bowers had 47% of the number 3 overall picks. Okay. Roma Dunze had like 42.5%. I thought that was very interesting because that's one we've debated a while. I'm with you, Alan. Tight end premium, I go Bowers there most of the time, but not the table talk for Matt's probable pick here. At the 104.
Come on, guys, come on, and even if I put, I'm gonna throw the tight end premium filter on the Player Profiler rookie rankings, and oh baby, yeah, Alan made the right choice.
Oh, good.
No tight end premium, we say Adunze. Tight end premium, we say Bowers. Either way, whoever is picking here, right, is very fortunate because there's a teardrop from Adunze down to Worthy. And now some people don't think that. They think that Worthy's just that close to Adunze, but Adunze's floor is so high, and I think he has the least chance of busting of all the wide receivers in this class.
You table talk too, You just said another player's name that wasn't drafted yet.
Okay, this is a show, Alan. So
not a real draft.
We're entertaining, but also informing, and these aren't real picks. I just picked twice in the first 4 picks. That's not even real. Okay, I'm the general manager for Team 1, Team 4, Team 8, and Team 12. None of this is real, Alan. So yes, table talk is absolutely. But why? This is this is a live draft. All we're doing is table talk. That's all this whole thing is.
It's real to me, damn it.
We're just talking the entire time.
Alan's a stickler.
We're doing a show, Alan. You're really off your game today, Alan.
Well, we're trying to show what a real draft is like, and if you create these faux pas, if you perform these faux pas, we got to call you out. Just so like you should do if someone does it in the chat in your sleeper or FFPC league. But this isn't real. This is a show. This is a mock draft. Number one, it's a mock draft, not a draft. Number 2, it's a live mock draft that we're doing for entertainment purposes. Theo, you're on the clock
You're
at 105
killing me today, man.
Single quarterback.
So 105 is when you actually have to start thinking and making decisions. Like the top 4 is about as insulated as it gets. A lot of clear-cut picks. Certainly, you have the Bowers Adunze decision for a lot of dynasty managers, depending on tight end premium versus non. But at the 105 for me in single QB, I'm going with the highest upside player on the board, and that's Xavier Worthy attached to Patrick Mahomes. There is some wide receiver profiles that, like in a vacuum, are right there with him. But in terms of situation, in terms of the speed he brings to that offense, and getting to play with one of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game, you have to have some Xavier Worthy at the 105 in your dynasty drafts. Have to.
Yeah, that seems to be the consensus chalk pick, and I don't necessarily disagree or agree with it. I know, Matt Kelly, you are steadfast right here that Xavier Worthy belongs in a tier by himself.
Well, he is in a tier by himself, right? I mean, there is one player that I would be tempted to draft here, and he's not a receiver or a running back or a tight end.
All right. Well, for me, That's what I'm saying. Like people are the biggest question we get over at RotoWire and over at PlayerProfiler is, when do I have permission to take a QB? If I am sitting there and I have just struggled with
pick 5.
I was going to say
pick 5.
okay.
So that's what I'm saying. No, Xavier Worthy's not in a tier by himself. I believe that Xavier Worthy really is in a tier with 2 other guys.
Right.
And they're both quarterbacks.
Right. Well, that's exactly it. So if I'm in a single quarterback league, and this is an important distinction, guys, I'm taking Jaden Daniels. Okay. If I'm in a super flex league here, I'm taking Caleb Williams because I want the higher floor. I think if you believe that there is a wide range of outcomes for the longevity of Jaden Daniels, then this is where you would defer to Caleb Williams. But can he be one of those, what do you call them? What's your word for those guys that just break fantasy, like the super elite monster Josh Allen style quarterbacks, RG3's rookie year? I think that's why I defer to Jaden Daniels here, because you'll always be able to find Matt Stafford on the waiver wire or trade for that guy in single quarterback.
The problem is most people have a quarterback in single quarterback leagues that they trust. So the odds that you're actually going to need a quarterback here and is pretty low. But if you have any quarterback need whatsoever, let's say you had Kirk Cousins and
Baker
Mayfield, something like that last year, then yeah, Kirk Cousins coming off an Achilles tear, you're going to want to make a move. I mean, I disagree that you would ever draft Jaden Daniels over Caleb Williams. I think Caleb Williams also has a nice rushing ceiling as well as Jaden Daniels. I don't know that Jaden Daniels has a much higher rushing floor. We know that. But both guys are incredibly athletic. And we're not sure exactly how much they're going to run at the professional level, just like we weren't sure about how much C.J. Stroud would run at the professional level. So it's Caleb Williams and C.J. Stroud are very similar. And I think looking back, if you had drafted C.J. Stroud in the middle of the first round in a single quarterback league, you'd have been very happy. I think the pick was Caleb Williams. You decided to go Jaden Daniels. That's fine. That tees me up to go Caleb Williams. That means that my pick is very easy. But before we get into that, let's just reminisce. Let's reminisce about a time when you chose a quarterback. It was a very different time. It was a different class. It was a deeper class.
And I was right.
Trevor Lawrence did not have the upside of a Caleb Williams or a Jaden Daniels. But once upon a time, Trevor Lawrence was a rookie, and you were joining with Roster Watch, the Sonic Truth podcast, for the first time. You were basically just filling out a mock draft. We had to get a whole bunch of people to staff up this mock draft. You were like the last guy to join. No one knew the fuck you were. And you came in and you made a pick that broke our brains. So we should really think we should go back. We should flash back and play the clip of you.
Well, this is the reaction. This
is Nate and I reacting to you drafting a quarterback when there were super premium players still on the board. Alan Seslowsky did not pick Javonte Williams. This was the shocker. I mean, Alan Seslowsky going Trevor Lawrence at the 107 in a single quarterback league? Bro.
Absolutely egregious and offensive. I'm offended. You're offended. I'm not sure that Trevor Lawrence really comes into play for quite a few more picks.
I'm embarrassed to show this mock draft to people now. Seslowsky torpedoed the Roster Watch first round. Alan Seslowsky buried them. Roto Underworld, the first round winners.
I put this on Byron. I put the Javonte Williams fall squarely on Byron Lambert's
What did Byron do?
He took Pitts at 4.
Oh.
In a non-tight.
We won! I know if we had Alan Seslowsky on the podcast, and we're not going to, we're having Trash Man. Trash Man's a priority. Alan, I'm sorry. Sure, we'll talk to you at some point, Alan, but not in this lifetime.
It's not a knock against him per se.
We're killing Alan, man. Poor Alan.
It truly
Alan, I'm
feels like...
sorry. You know, now that I'm thinking about it, we're piling on. We've only come back to this mistake that you made, taking Trevor Lawrence 17 times in this show. I apologize. Alan, we will not criticize you again in the history of this show. Never again. I'm sorry. We'll have you on at some point. We won't have you, but
yeah,
we're sorry.
Probably not. I mean, not to pile on, because he said we wouldn't.
And Alan Seslowsky has the last laugh.
Because I'm co-hosting the show, and it was the right pick.
Well, actually, as it turns out, in hindsight, it was really Byron that buried you guys with the Kyle Pitts pick. That's really what did roster watch in. I mean, when I looked up and I saw Pitts and Lawrence in the first round, I was like, oh, we're winning this one.
Yep.
We got Javonte Williams, the great Javonte Williams. Imagine not getting Javonte Williams. Oh my God.
Yep. Yeah, no, a good moment. And again, it was just what makes it funny was that, you know, the irony is that now we're me, you, and Theo are co-hosting the podcast, and that, you know, that again, it was a great moment. And by the way, I remember at the time Byron called me and goes, you better not listen to Matt Kelly's podcast. And I was like worried my career was over and hadn't even started. You know, I was like in my bed curled up, and then I woke up in the middle of the night to take a pee, and the idea to just lean into it occurred to me, and that's when I made the video the next morning.
Dude, that's what you always do. Always, always, always. You lean into it and you own it. That's what you have to do. And you did it. And it helped you, and it gained you credibility, gained you respect. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful job by you. I'm going Caleb Williams, but there is some serious game theory going on with this. So if you go to our rankings on Player Profiler, after Caleb Williams, we have a couple running backs. Okay, and who I really wanted to draft with running backs.
Me too.
However, I am betting that you and Theo are wide receiver aficionados. That you guys just are going to look at the next crop of receivers, especially Brian Thomas, and you're not going to be able to take your hands off him. You're going to be drawn like a moth to a flame to these Ladd McConkeys, these Brian Thomases, these Keon Colemans. That is the bet I'm making, because to me it's flip a coin between Trey Benson and Jonathan Brooks. I believe I'm going to get one of them. I believe one will fall to me if I give the choice to you guys. I believe one of you is going to go wide receiver, and then I know this is wrong because these are different teams. I get it, right? But at least from an analyst standpoint, I want to talk about these running backs and why I love both of them, really. And so I think I'll have that opportunity because I believe one of you two is going to go wide receiver. And there are real scenarios all the time that come up in Dynasty and rookie drafts where you have the 107 and you have the 110. That happens all the time. I'm sure that exact combination of picks has happened to Theo before, where you had the 107, you had the 110. And if you're in that particular scenario, I would go Caleb Williams here and just let your league mates fuck up in front of you, and then they will give you a running back that you want.
Theo, before you comment and make your pick, can you just weigh in on the single quarterback strategy of Daniels versus Caleb Williams?
Well, I lead Caleb Williams ahead of Daniels in all formats, but I agree with you. I think that right now you're seeing a clear-cut top 11 picks, and then 12 is usually the wild card. Daniels has a lot wider variance in rookie drafts. Like I've seen Caleb Williams go as high as the 105. Most of the time he's going a little closer to like pick 10, pick 11 in the single QB leagues. Jaden Daniels I've seen sneak into the first round a few times. Like, you know, talking about like the 111, the 112, 12 people don't know what to do if they're settled in at quarterback. So like Daniels, you know, it's specific to the quarterback needs, but Daniels also has sort of like a floor in these single QB formats where he's not falling past like the 205. I have a 207 Jaden Daniels, which is a Justin Herbert team, but I'm like, at that point, I'm taking Jaden Daniels because he could be worth a first next year and overtake Herbert potentially. So, like, I think Theo, it's fine, Alan. I do think it's a little high to see both of those guys at the 6 and the 7.
Well, it's the same reason that we took Anthony Richardson over CJ Stroud last year. That's the game theory behind it.
Yeah. So in terms of your single, like, yes, Jaden Daniels could be like a guy that is more valuable. I could see specifically in single QB. Like, we think he could rush for 900 yards as a rookie. Right. Whereas Caleb Williams, you have to also deal with the weather. Caleb Williams is the long-term locked in, high floor, can't miss type guy. Daniel is a little bit wider range of outcomes, but I think he's going to be really good. I can see the argument.
The issue is in Dynasty and single quarterback, you're probably not going to play Daniels in year one.
Right.
I don't know. I think there's a chance both these guys become top 12 quarterbacks right out the gate. I don't think that's I mean, I think that both these guys are going to be right into contention when you start looking at the quarterbacks and from a redraft perspective.
I guess what if you have Herbert? If you have Herbert and you're worried, right? You're worried that, hey, man, he lost all his weapons. He's got a run-first coach. I mean, that would be a nice little hedge on the risk of Herbert not being what he was, and you can't just set it and forget it with Justin Herbert this year. I can pivot to Jaden Daniels.
Yep, and especially if Daniels comes out and has like the Anthony Richardson game. Well, we'll continue. This is going to be all summer long with that debate, guys. It's a very interesting one. But pick 8, Theo, you're on the board. You're making your first pick. This is not a team setting. It's as if this is your first pick. Come on.
So I have about a Honda Civic worth of Brian Thomas at this point in Dynasty rookie drafts. I'm going to take Jonathan Brooks just to frustrate Matt Kelly's plan here, because he table talked and he revealed his plan to us. If he would have just not table talked, so this is really a life lesson.
This is a show. We're trying to help people. Table talk your pick.
Yeah. Jonathan Brooks. You could go, but there's literally 4 guys. I think this is a great range to get yourself in. Get yourself into the top 11 in single QB leagues, and then 12 would be Jaden Daniels. Like, throw him in that mix. But there's 3 wide receivers and a running back that also could have been considered alongside Brooks. Brooks, I'll just say that the thing about Jonathan Brooks is we have Brooks and Benson ranked very highly in our Dynasty running back rankings, let alone the rookie rankings. But Jonathan Brooks lands in the Dave Canales offense. This is a guy that gave Rachaad White 322 touches last year. This is an offense where I think Jonathan Brooks is going to establish himself as the focal point. I think it's a great landing spot, and this is a really fine value to take him at.
I can't wait to watch Allen slip on a banana peel right here.
Well, it's going to happen, guys. I'm very interested. At this pick right here, I'm looking for who's a player that can score 15 touchdowns in a given season, and which players attached to the best quarterback in fantasy football. This might be a pick or two ahead of ADP, guys, but I have a strong stance I'm taking on Keon Coleman here. And the first, you guys had asked me about Ladd McConkey versus Keon Coleman, and if you want to hit a double, take Ladd McConkey, but I want the grand slam home run, the guy who could be A.J. Brown, DK Metcalf at his peak, and I think that's Keon Coleman. I acknowledge there's a lower floor, though. You're up, Podfather.
I'll say Cody Carpentier is also very much on the Keon Coleman train. I've taken Keon Coleman with a number of 111s, so it's not like a huge reach, Alan.
You get one pick, right? Like, that's what I'm saying. If he goes at 11 and I want him at 9, I got to take the guy I want.
God,
You're
I called it. Teed up for me. Oh, man. This is the guy, man. This is the guy that has the most inefficient ADP in all of Dynasty right now. Trey Benson. Yep. Give me Trey Benson. Though I will say, Trey Benson does typically go higher in the higher stakes Dynasty leagues. People that know things, the sharp people, you're going to see Trey Benson creeping up earlier and earlier and earlier. And we also have a good question in here from Albert S. on the chat. He asks, Matt, has Nate replied to your text message from yesterday?
Can I answer for you? It's no. Just a guess.
Well, actually.
Oh, wait a minute.
The answer is yes.
Wow.
Was it the middle finger emoji?
So we have some good news. We have some very, very, very good news.
Do we have breaking news?
Of course, Alan had to talk over the sound effect there. Alan's having a very poor show. Just one of those days. You have one of those games, man. You're like Ben Roethlisberger at the end, where you never knew he was going to come out and give you a 3-point game, and just he can't move his body around. You're having one of those old man games where you can't get it going today, Alan. Nate did reply, and he said he'll give me a call this weekend.
Oh wow!
Can you believe it?
That's great.
I can't wait. I'm excited.
It was a don't call me, I'll call you.
Yeah, that may be what happened. You're right. You know what? Yeah, I feel like a girl. Right, I feel like a girl who, like, that is just waiting by the phone, right? Or a guy waiting for the girl to call. Either way, this feels more of like a potential sort of romantic, hope for future conversation. Right,
He was the best. He was the best lay of your life.
Yeah, this definitely feels like girls and boys playing games with each other's heart. I will say that, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see. I'll let everybody know what happens. I'm excited.
Theo, Gremminger, follow that up with pick 111. You're on the clock. Single quarterback league.
So I'll say this one. I think there's two ways you could go based on what's left for me here at the 11 and the 12. I think that there's a lot of people on Ladd McConkey, but I think Brian Thomas Jr., if I didn't need the production from this pick this year, well, no, I didn't make the pick yet. I'm laying out the ground.
Jesus Christ, Alan.
I'm laying it out.
Unbelievable.
But
he's having the stone worst show ever.
We love you, Alan. We love you,
Alan. He really is. I mean, it's almost like he's trying to find ways to fuck the show up.
Sabotage.
It is. You can't make it up all those different ways.
Let's be honest. Alan's upset at having to do single QB Dynasty content. He puts his nose in the air at a single QB players. It's fine. Alan, we get it. But I'll say if I needed production and I need a guy I can stick into the flex this year, absolutely Ladd McConkey. I do think that there is a scenario where this is the peak of Ladd McConkey's Dynasty value. I'll stay with Ladd McConkey with the pick here, but I'll say if this was like a situation averse and I was truly the champion of the league and I had an absolutely loaded roster and I wanted a wide receiver that I think projects as a wide receiver one longer term, Brian Thomas Jr. I think Ladd McConkey's going to be a really fine player to have on your roster, but he is not a true alpha. He went lower than Brian Thomas. He's a little bit older than we like to see. And I think that Ladd McConkey here, this could be like sort of like Christian Kirk's wide receiver one season 2 years ago, where you have like a wide receiver one based on the weapons around him and a very good player sort of ascending to the role. But I don't think Ladd McConkey, like when we look back 5 years from now, is going to be some guy that sticks in a wide receiver one range. Whereas Brian Thomas, I think could be the most valuable wide receiver in a Trevor Lawrence-led offense very quickly, and I think the profile fits a little bit better. So Ladd McConkey, Brian Thomas, go either way. It's context for your team needs. Team 11, I need that flex to put me over the top. Go on Ladd McConkey. He'll outscore Thomas Jr. as a rookie.
The Ladd McConkey
Well, there's been
pick,
table talk
Podfather.
about Brian Thomas.
Well,
the
table
Ladd
talk around Brian Thomas.
Table Talk also called a show that we're doing.
Only one way to go here, Alan, with Brian Thomas.
The Ladd McConkey pick is like having sex with your wife with a condom on. Brian Thomas is like having sex with your sister with no condom on. So I'm going to have sex.
Just awful.
There you
It's
go.
awful. That's awful.
Exactly. So I'm going for the maximum perverted pleasure right here.
There's nothing perverted. I want to on the record. There's nothing perverted about taking Brian Thomas.
Yeah.
Brian Thomas, there's nothing perverted about it. It's the correct play there.
Right. It's the real man pick versus the nutless, cowardly pick of Ladd McConkey.
Okay, let me just explain something. I don't believe, based on what Alan just said, I don't believe he has a sister.
I got three of them.
You have three sisters?
Yes.
For
I
real?
hope they're not listening to
For
this.
real. They're
Okay.
probably not listening to this. No.
Wow. Okay. Because that you made it sound like that's a legitimate fantasy that you have.
Well,
and you were fulfilling it. And that's just not how it works with brothers and sisters.
It's a category on Cornhub. It's called stepsister. Stepsister porn.
You didn't say stepsister.
Well,
it could have been a lot less. I mean, it still would have been awful, but it would have been less awful, I think.
Yeah. I mean, it's the Brian Thomas pick forgoes the step part of it.
You're beyond sick. Like, even when you say sick, perverted stuff, at least it makes logical sense. Now you're not even doing that. Now you're doing crazy stuff that's not even within like the realm of human anatomy. That's
Don't-
not
don't-
even how it works, dude. I
What do you
can't
think-
believe you're doing this. I can't believe that it's one thing when you talk about a teacher, right? Where we can all envision fantasizing about a teacher. Okay? Most normal people have never fantasized about their sister sexually. You do understand that you are very weird.
Listen, I wonder what your fetishes are. I bet there's something crazy where you're like pulling out like a rubber hose on your balls, and I'm telling you, there's something off with the Podfather too. He's just not saying it, expressing it.
We haven't had a moment like this in Sonic Truth since Alan's bachelor party description in Vegas. We're not even going to go back there and recap that one. And Tyler Knable, do not clip this. Do not clip this.
Yeah, the duty in the cup from the stripper. We had just to refresh the audience. We paid extra to have the professional dancer, legal, make a duty in a cup in front of us.
Yeah, I was even on board with your lunch lady, right? I mean, all of it. I'm here for all of it. But you're going to a place I just can't even relate to, man. Okay, here we go.
For the record, there has been no incest or sexual interaction. I'm saying the Brian Thomas pick.
I hope not. No one's trying that.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Do you think first cousins are out of bounds, or is that still too sick? Is first cousin inbounds?
It's less sick. It's less
second
sick.
cousin. Second cousin's inbounds, right? You can marry your second cousin.
Yeah, I don't. I don't know, man. I don't know. I wish I could relate. Honestly, we could have a conversation about it. I'm here for the dirtiest of dirty conversations. As long as I can relate to it, I can't. I can't honestly relate.
Got to scrub this show later, guys. We got to edit
Lunch
this out.
lady, though, I'm in. Lunch lady,
Yeah.
I'm in.
Lunch
I
lady's
mean
awesome.
that's super hot,
Yeah, all of it. Yeah, maybe there's so
especially
many things.
especially after a full day's work and they haven't showered yet. That's my thing.
There's even some older ladies. Like I'm here for different things that I can somewhat relate to. But you've
pick up the
you've
pace.
gone to some places that are just are beyond the pale.
2-1.
You are doing me a great service, by the way, in that my general rule is I would love to get twice as many running backs in my rookie drafts as the average drafter, right? So let's say that most people leave a rookie draft with, what would you say, Theo, 2 running backs in 5 rounds?
It becomes a little more of a dart throw for them when you get past round 3. So I think that's about
Two
sounds about
and
right.
a half. Let's
Yeah.
say 2. So basically, if the average person's getting 2 running backs, I want to net out 4. Right? I want to leave with 4 running backs in a 5-round draft. So here, this is very easy for me. This is very easy. You're going to see this. It was the theme last time. We're going to keep going right back to it. Even more so with single quarterback. Bam, Blake Corum. Put it on the board.
Nothing like a process play of taking a backup running back over first round receivers. I
Ricky
love it.
Pearsall. Gonna get Xavier Leggett.
No, you don't. You can just say no. I've been saying this for a decade, Alan. You approached us originally saying you're a big fan of the Sonic Truth and what we're all about, and you want to be part of it. Well, a thing that we've been talking about forever is that you are allowed, when a Henry Ruggs is available, to just not draft him. Like you are, if you don't like him, if you think he looks the part of a total bust because he doesn't even have a breakout age because his dominator rating never crested 20%, even though a team that is misguided decided he was a first-round pick, you can just say no to Henry Ruggs, say no to Kadarius Toney. You could, if a player looks the part, if he looks it, sounds it, smells it, right? If it looks like a bust, sounds like a bust, smells like a bust, he's a bust. So no thank you. You can just say no thank you, and you can load up on running backs that at any given moment you could look up, and they're the primary bell cow, and they're chalk in DFS. At no point is Ricky Pearsall going to be chalk in DFS. Get out of here.
So I will say that I think that Ricky Pearsall is a option here, and he's certainly one that I would think about taking. And I love taking wide receivers in this range. I think you see a lot of these early second-round wide receivers hit. But I'm going to go back to the running back well, and I'm going to go Marshawn Lloyd. Because Marshawn Lloyd, and I didn't think, it's funny, there's another running back who's going to go in this round who's sort of become like the guy that people have to grab in FFPC drafts. I don't want to table talk it, but there's one more running back that's pretty obvious that's become sort of the riser this rookie draft season. And it's created sort of this value pocket for me with Marshawn Lloyd, where I've talked about Marshawn Lloyd as the guy that I've wanted to draft for a while now, but without having to force it, I've ended up with a ton of Marshawn Lloyd in FFPC leagues. I think he's going to be a handcuff plus this year, Alan, where I think Marshawn Lloyd's a guy that I can put in the RB2 on teams with maybe a lighter running back room, wide receiver heavy teams. And I think that he's already one of the best contingent upside players in fantasy because this is going to be a really good offense. And he does a lot of the same things Aaron Jones was capable of. And I think we've got a path where he overtakes Josh Jacobs in 2025. And while I'm on Josh Jacobs this year, and I think he's going to be efficient as long as he stays on the field, this is a guy that's absorbed a ton of volume over the last few years. We saw him get a little banged up to end last season. And you just never know when these high volume guys, it catches up to him. And he's got the kind of profile where it could catch up to him quickly. So I think Lloyd has a big 2025 outlook, and he's got a higher floor in 2024 on high value touches in that backfield. And it's also a backfield where we always see Green Bay utilizing a second running back in the offense. Always.
Right. Yep. And we can call out Jalen Wright for a second here, and that's the other running back you're talking about. And here's the thing that you and I had a back and forth on Twitter, and Podfather, I'm curious to if you buy into this narrative, is that if you are not taking Jalen Wright because he's a, quote, 4th round running back, you could throw that out because the Dolphins paid next year's 2025's third, to draft Wright in the 4th. So essentially, he is a 3rd round pick. Does that compute?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think that you're onto something too, Alan, where it's sort of like in today's NFL where we rarely see the 1st round running backs anymore, besides, obviously the Gibbs and Robinson class, which was sort of a one-off. It felt like a one-off, even though those guys are exceptional players. Maybe we should start treating these high-end RB2, round 2 running backs as 1st round running backs years ago, and so on. The 3rd round, sort of the 2nd, 4th. And that's something we're going to have to look back in a couple of years and see sort of the hit rates. But if that's the way the league is going, then I agree with you. But my point on Wright is it's a absolute phenomenon because this is a guy, Wright, Matt and I know you as well, Alan, we've been talking about how excited we were about Jalen Wright all draft season. How about this was a guy that we moved up in the pre-NFL draft rookie rankings at PlayerProfiler. Matt was all over Jalen Wright. But we've never seen this before where it's a round 4 running back in a backfield with a lot of good players that were super productive last year. So call it a committee, call it he's more of a contingent play, but Jalen Wright is easily the highest drafted 4th round rookie running back in a crowded backfield that we've ever seen. Michael Carter steamed up a couple of years back because the Jets backfield was atrocious. And Michael Carter had a little steam from the Senior Bowl, and Carter was a guy that we said was going to get all these rookie year touches. But we've never seen it like this. It's the power of the Mike McDaniel offense, and it's sort of this incredible speed, potential opportunity play where drafters, it's like a speculation stock.
Got it.
They have to have Jalen Wright. You have to have him right now.
Yeah. All right. Podfather, I'm going to make my pick quickly here, and this could be a potential for Tyler for his quote cards, right? And I just think that it's not that I'm saying anything profound here, but where would Ricky Pearsall?
Are you going to go Drake May?
Ricky Pearsall would be pick 106 if one of the veterans was traded. I'm going to gladly take him at the 203 here because, again, I'm getting a middle 1st rounder in the 2nd round. It's not about what is right now. It's about seeing what happens 3 months, 6 months, and certainly 18 months from now.
You know why he was a 1st round pick in the NFL draft, right?
I don't. Tell me.
You know why?
Because he's a good football player?
No.
Exceptional athlete and a good football player.
A single one-handed catch.
Stop.
There was a single one-handed catch that everyone was buzzing about. It was one of the greatest one-handed catches I've ever seen.
The best ever.
Thank you. Exactly.
In the history of the game.
So this is why. This is why. You
don't
don't draft
like
players based on one catch. That's the thing. It was that was the catch that got them to tear up the pick, right? They had the right player, right pick, right process play, and then they tore it up, and they sent the new card up with Ricky Pearsall because they just couldn't get that one catch out of their mind.
Yep.
And it was a mistake.
But anyway, I still hold steady here that Pearsall would be the rocket fuel guy if Debo was traded or if Ayuk was traded, and you might have to eat it a little bit for this year. You're up on the 204 Podfather.
The 49ers motivated Howie Roseman to trade up to get Cooper DeJean. Okay, that's how badly they whiffed with that Ricky Pearsall pick, and you are just letting me have the highest upside running backs that exist. Put Jalen Wright on the board, baby. Oh my God, I'm so happy. I'm so happy. And Vic Z has something to say about my strategy. He says, I used the Podfather strategy last year to go running backs, and I drafted Roschon Johnson, Tank Bigsby, Chase Brown, Zach Evans, Abanikanda, and Tucker. I don't even know who Tucker is. I thought Trey Tucker was a receiver, so I don't know
Sean
what the fuck
Tucker.
he's talking
He's
about.
talking-
Sean Tucker
he's
wasn't
talking-
drafted, and I said Sean Tucker should never be touched because he'll never play over Rashad White, and I was absolutely out on Tank Bigsby in every way, and I actually was, proven slightly wrong already on Chase Brown. Chase Brown is actually a player you really want to have stashed, as is Roschon Johnson. I would have rather had Abanikanda over Chase Brown, and that has since flipped. So I was not as bullish on Chase Brown as I should have been, and it's possible that Tank Bigsby works on his ball security, and he's now still, as far as I can tell, the handcuff to Travis Etienne, right? So, and at no point was anyone saying draft Zach Evans. Okay, so Zach Evans was one of my do not draft players. So I don't know why you're drafting those particular running backs. You did a bad job. And last year was also, where was Tajay Spears on here? Right? Yeah, you could have had Tajay Spears. You just happened to cherry pick the worst possible running backs. Also, last year was an outlier season in that you had Tank Dell and Puka Nacua going completely nuclear. So you have receivers that were not picked in round 1 or 2 going nuclear, multiple. That just doesn't happen very often. So sure, you could just look back at last year and all the mistakes you made drafting running backs, and that could then you could just flippantly change your process again this year. Go ahead. That's great. I think that's the way to. That's the way to. That's the best way to play fantasy. Is that you try one strategy for 1 year, it blows up in your face, and you get PTSD, and then you immediately pivot to a brand new strategy that doesn't have nearly the same fundamental backing of a book that's on Amazon. Okay, the Dynasty Dominator, which is where we talk about loading up on running back in the rookie drafts and why. But go ahead, man. That's what you should be doing. You should just be changing your strategy every year, radically changing everything you're doing and everything you're about. That's definitely the way to win long term. Oh, yeah. Keep doing that.
And I'll say this, guys, we love going back to last year, but the three of us in Sonic Truth had Anthony Richardson and CJ Stroud as QB 1 and 2. We never even considered Bryce Young, and a ton of respected sites had Bryce Young in their top 2. We had Devon Achane as RB3 on our player profiler rankings and a guy that you should have targeted. And we begged you to add him multiple times here in the Sonic Truth. And we talked about you have to go get Dalton Kincaid and Sam Laporta. Right now, Sam Laporta is going off the board and in Dynasty startups as a tight end 1. Dalton Kincaid is like the tight end 4. So, and we have had you avoid Quentin Johnston last year where we had Zay Flowers ahead of him, Jordan Addison ahead of him. I mean, so
I have a hat rack and I hang my hat on. My hat rack that's in my studio where I hang my hat on helping people avoid the bustiest of the bust players, not so much hitting on the biggest home runs. So we're protecting you from the biggest busts first and foremost because you draft these guys in Dynasty for the careers. And that's number 1. And then number 2, all players perform better on average in their second season. And players like Roschon Johnson and Chase Brown and others on this list that you listed, all your running backs, including even Tank Bigsby, they have another bite at the apple this year. Okay, that's the beauty of it. Whereas if a receiver doesn't flash in his rookie year, there's a handful of Nico Collins, and I think we're going to see that with Jahan Dotson this year. I think Jahan Dotson's the best candidate for a year 3 breakout, given his situation. But those are much more rare than the running back that is stuck behind a stud or two on the depth chart, and then next thing you know, year 2, year 3, things break wide open for that guy. And that's what's going to happen with Theo, with Marshawn Lloyd, where next year, boom, like he becomes a starter and no one's allowed to be surprised.
All right, guys, for the rest of this round, let's be efficient on the analysis. Let's make a pick, give the analysis, and get through the second round here, okay? Theo, you're up at the 205.
So 205, I'm going to go Ben Sinnott of Washington. This is a player that landed perfectly, Alan. He's going to be an instant producer in fantasy. I mean, I talked about him a lot last week where I took him highly in our Superflex league. Might as well keep taking him as many times as possible.
Okay, fair enough. I like it. I'm going to stick with...
This is Mega Flex. This is Super Mega Flex. Super Tight End Premium, Mega Premium. Is this Tight End Mega Premium?
175.
But it's not Super Flex. So I misspoke. Right. It's not Super Flex. It's Tight End Mega Premium.
Sure. Yes.
Okay.
Are we not showing the board to the people anymore?
I'm toggling back and forth, man. I'm having fun producing the show.
Multi-camera view.
Why are you put that
I got to start
chat.
writing down I got to start.
You want to ask me about you think I don't know how to run a show?
It's not your first rodeo.
You think I don't know how to go back to the screen share? You think I don't know how to go back to the draft room? You think you know how easy this is for me, Alan?
I mean, you may.
What are you doing?
Seamless experience here. Seamless experience.
You're taking people behind the scenes when they shouldn't be behind the scenes, and then you're not taking people behind the scenes when they should be behind the scenes. You're off on so many levels in this show.
I mean,
did you not get any sleep last night? What happened, man?
I feel good, man. I mean, you're the one taking these running backs, backup running backs ahead of first-round receivers, and I'm going to stick to the process.
You're going Leggett. Oh, God, this is so pukey. You're just running headlong, man. You're running headlong. You know what?
It's not a pick anybody loves to make, but they want him to work. They traded up for him here. Now, if Leggett comes out and has, 6 for 70 and a touchdown in week 1, there's going to be at least get your money back on this pick, minimum. Right? If he has a down week, you'll be able to rest on the draft capital. What I'm saying is Xavier Leggett with his first-round draft capital, you'll have chances to cash out on this in the first month of the season, regardless of outcome.
He's definitely being punished because of what happened with Jonathan Mingo and Terrace Marshall, which is a little bit unfair.
Like what happened with Sky Moore, right? Rashee Rice got punished because of Sky Moore.
100% agree with you on that one. So, I think it gets to be a point where, yes, I prefer a couple guys to Xavier Leggett, but I don't want to walk away with not having any Xavier Leggett in Dynasty. I don't think this is like a no shares, no cares type guy. I want to have a little bit. I took him at the 211 in a Superflex league like 2 days ago, sort of for the fact that I'm playing a little bit of catch up because I passed on him so often. But there's also a scenario where the big argument is Deontay. You don't want to get too off track, Alan. You want to keep us here, but the argument is Deontay Johnson doesn't return to what he did, and Carolina has a little bit more of an open opportunity for Leggett. Again, I can understand passing on him, late breakout, all that sort of stuff, but incredible athlete, incredible size, and was a first-round wide receiver.
And all of that is baked into the first-round receiver. He's every year there's a receiver drafted in the first round that falls. Now, sometimes it doesn't work out with Kadarius Toney. Sometimes it's Brandon Ayuk, it's Jahan Dotson, guys that have different levels of success.
This is arbitrary. He went with the last pick in the first round. This is more of a Stephen Hill than it is any first-round pick that we've ever seen.
They traded up for him, though. They proactively traded up one spot because they wanted him. I know the trade-up thing is a cop-out, but they want one spot to make sure they got their guy. So they want him to work. Now, look, they traded up for Bryce Young, too. That didn't work out. But they're doing everything they can to make it work. It's not a pick I love. I'm not, planting a flag for Leggett, but right here, I'll take him. He's going to have immediate opportunity. That's all he can ask. You're up, Podfather, 2-7.
You're making my life very difficult because I would typically just go back to running back over and over and over again, but I can't now because you have given me a premium wide receiver. And the only reason you're giving him to me is because he's not a first-round pick. But there is a player who landed in the best possible situation by a team that's notoriously excellent at scouting wide receivers. He was by far and away the best receiver at the Senior Bowl. He's a total machine. He has essentially one of the highest floors out there. I mean, you could argue even that he has like the fourth highest floor. He has an even higher floor than, say, Xavier Worthy, just because of the work ethic and just the college production and just everything that he's about screams that he's at least going to be a productive possession receiver in the NFL, but he does have upside. Like he runs a 4.39. Okay, so there's even some big boom upside there with him too. I love Roman Wilson, and I'm going to take him. And even though this is not typically a wide receiver slot for me, if Roman Wilson falls here, this is the one exception.
Yep. The only pushback I can have is a little bit narrative-y is the Arthur Smith wide receiver 2s, right? Not even his wide receiver 1s. That scares me to death. I've taken Roman Wilson in this spot in like super flex leagues, but it does scare me that he could just basically he could be good and it not work out for fantasy. You're up, Theo.
We've never seen a wide receiver 1 in an Arthur Smith offense have more than like 120 targets, even AJ Brown. So yeah, I agree with you. There's a little bit of scariness there, but I love
How long
Roman
is he
Wilson.
going to be the coordinator there? A year or two? I mean, what are you guys doing? This is Dynasty.
I don't know. We'll see.
This is such an easy thing every year. Is you take the guy that you know is awesome, who's a third rounder, like I don't know, Tank Dell, and you fade the first rounder who you know stinks, like Quentin Johnston. This is easy.
Yep.
So for me, I'll stay. Last year we had sort of a renaissance for third round NFL draft pick rookie wide receivers. Matt just took Roman Wilson. Last year we saw Tank Dell and Josh Downs both flash. And Nico Collins had a breakout. We hadn't seen third rounders kind of hit for a while. So I'll lean back into the NFL third round, and I'm going to go Jermaine Burton, who's a guy that's climbing up. And Alan, it's sort of a Ricky Pearsall scenario where T. Higgins is gone. I have the number 2 wide receiver on the Bengals offense. And right away out the gate, I have a guy that I think can be, a guy you could throw in the flex if you get stuck because Tyler Boyd's gone. Jermaine Burton's a guy they took in the third round. He's only in the third round because sort of doesn't really get along with coaching staffs particularly well. But we've seen this organization kind of embrace guys like that in the past. I think Jermaine Burton is a really, really fun player to stash long-term and a little bit better than you think in 2024.
Yeah, Burton's moving up. I was on with Matt Babbage last night and Seth DeWald on the Player Profiler Network, and we had a big conversation about Burton. And I made the point he's moving up, even in Superflex. Yeah. He's become a second-round pick. I can't argue with it right there. But guys, I mean, right here, it's too late for Adonai Mitchell. I mean, it just feels a lot like how DK Metcalf and AJ Brown fell to the second round, the real NFL draft. Then we look back, and we're like, why the heck did that happen, right? And I've heard the argument, which is a legitimate one, that the Colts are a run-heavy team, and he's the third pass option. But maybe they become more pass-happy because of Adonai Mitchell. So anywhere in this area, I'd probably take him ahead of the last 2 picks only because of that. Of all these guys, who's the one that could have 15 touchdowns in a season? It's Mitchell.
I think that's fun. I think here, Alan, you're making a good case, and it's a little less risk when you're taking them at the end of the second. It's certainly the path is closed, but that kind of athlete indoors, second round draft capital, we'll see.
Cool. Podfather, you're up. Wait, do you have any Adonai Mitchell thoughts, Podfather? I hadn't heard you talk about him all offseason. Theo's and I have had discussions about him, but is there a one-line takeaway in out on Mitchell?
I'm out in a big way because there's no way he can get there with Anthony Richardson as his quarterback. There's just no way. There's way too much target competition there, and I'm finding myself out on Michael Pittman now because of it. Now out on Josh Downs because of it. It's like, if I'm going to be out on those guys, I'm sure as hell out on Adonai Mitchell. And if he's going to slide in the NFL draft like he did after being touted as a first-round pick, that also makes me nervous. So there's a lot about Adonai Mitchell that makes me nervous, and he can't hurt you, right? He can't hurt you. If I were to go ahead and draft, let's say, Adonai Mitchell here, okay, you'd need multiple injuries for him to have any kind of ability to be started week to week, right? So, and even then, you have a quarterback that's sucking pass attempts out of the offense, and he's going to be a rookie wide receiver. On the other hand, if you drafted, let's say, a running back, and there's a catastrophic injury in camp or preseason to the incumbent, that's a guy that you could look back on and be like, man, I could have had him. He went a couple picks after I took that wide receiver. That's the case for drafting running back by default in these rounds, in these slots.
Yep.
For
All right,
that
guys.
reason, I'm going Will Shipley.
Ooh, you've been taking him early, Podfather, in the Superflex drafts. He is now a 4th rounder. He's falling his ADP. So
I only picked him because I thought you guys wanted him, and I was worried that you guys might pick him. So that's why I picked him there. I actually prefer another running back. You want me to redo it? We could do a
Theo,
redo.
you agree? This is
I didn't
this
know
is
he
not
was
accurate.
falling I didn't know he was falling to the 4th round in single quarterback.
No, in Superflex, 4th round.
So I'd say, I've gotten a lot of Will Shipley, but I'm taking him probably 308 average for
and that's
single.
early. And that's single.
308
And
to-
single.
Yeah, single 308.
All right, so okay,
with
then
you, Alan.
I was trying to be cute with game theory, and that was a mistake. I'm not going to do that. So
Anytime
wind
after
it
these
back.
next
I
3
just
picks,
thought,
you could take him.
guy from Clemson, 4th round, Philadelphia offense. I want him. I figured he would be a guy that would only be rising in ADP, and if he's not, then I apologize, and I'm wrong, and I shouldn't have picked him. That was a bad game theory pick. Then I'm just going to go off my own personal rankings of a guy I absolutely love, and I'm going to tell you guys just to eat shit. I'm going to draft him. Screw it. I'm not going to. I don't care about perception. I don't care about ADP. I don't care about anything. No game theory. No nothing. This is the guy I want. Come on, Vidal.
Yep.
Vidal Sassoon, baby.
Yep.
Vidal
And he's
Sassoon,
moving the other.
Fuck it, Vidal Sassoon. Fuck it.
He's moving the other way. So you have
Okay,
permission to
thank
take
you.
him.
Okay, good. Okay,
Yeah.
see, I am not always the greatest at guessing where ADPs are going to go. If I would have, if you had me on Truth Serum, and I had to guess, I would have been like, probably, I don't know, Shipley be going higher. If I'm wrong and it's actually Vidal, then screw it. We have Vidal ranked higher in the rankings anyway. I want Vidal all the way.
Yep. I mean,
Yeah,
it's easier to
for
see
me-
the case for him.
For me, Alan, I'm going to go with Patriots selected Drake May, and then the very next pick they made, Jalen Polk. So whatever we think of Jalen Polk now has a path to being a guy who gets like 120 targets as a rookie. I know Javon Baker is interesting, and there's sort of like a ambiguous target tree there. But at the end of the day, they took Jalen Polk when they could have just stood pat and taken Ladd McConkey. They could have maneuvered up for Keon Coleman, Ricky Pearsall. They could have taken Adonai Mitchell, but they went Jalen Polk. So they very much like Jalen Polk. We should like Jalen Polk, especially in this range.
Okay, so everyone in the chat that's saying that was a big reach.
talking
Kamani
about
Vidal
Vidal?
only has Gus Edwards.
No. They're talking about your Will Shipley play.
Yeah.
Kamani
They're watching on
Vidal
delay.
is not a reach. Yeah. Kamani Vidal is not a reach. I think he's
Okay, it's
fine
not
in
a
the-
reach. Okay, but I just want to make clear. This has now, with Joe Alt, become one of the best offensive lines in football, a run-first offense. You have the corpse of Gus Edwards to compete with. This is a guy that has size, athleticism, and just rolled up season after season after season in college with 20-plus receptions. His early ADP, his snap ADP after the draft never made any sense. And now we're seeing it correct, and as it should. So I'm hoping that you're right, that all this reach commentary in the chat was all around Will Shipley pick, and also Will Shipley's going to have to compete with Kenny Gainwell. So there's a bunch of reasons why I didn't really want Shipley there. I just thought he was the it guy because of Clemson. and I should just get him because I'm trying to hoard every single running back, and that was my
He's
game
gonna
theory
dust.
play.
He's gonna dust.
But I
Gainwell,
apologize. That was not correct. You all are way too savvy for me. Everyone that's drafting is too savvy for me. You've already figured out that Vidal is a better bet than Shipley, even though he was drafted 2 rounds earlier. Bravo.
Yep. All right, so with my next pick, I'm going to take Will Shipley. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to take him here. I'm just thinking about where I would take the next quarterback, guys. And if I won the league and I'm picking at 12, right, and I've already made a blue chip player pick like Brian Thomas, and let's say I got by with a quarterback who produced in the top 10, like Jared Goff.
No, they're saying it was a reach. They're in the chat. They said big reach.
Well, we disagree. Theo and I are in real money drafts.
Yeah, like
it's not a
The
reach.
chat can go to hell right now.
On this,
Kamani Vidal in single QB leagues like FFPC ones, someone's taking him between 210 and like 307 every draft. This is not an egregious reach.
Podfather, this is where, I'm only speaking from my own experience. This is exactly where I would take him. In fact, I almost wish I had the pick back for a Adonai Mitchell. So this is where he goes. I've actually had friends of mine say to me, hey, after Podfather took him on your Superflex draft early on, now it makes me feel better about doing that. So you actually you influenced people to do it. This is where he's headed. There's no problem there. Guys, I'm trying to think about where I could take the next quarterback. If I'm in the Jared Goff land right here, and there's so many like position players I want, but I'm going to give people permission to take Drake May right here.
You and these quarterbacks.
Well, it's not me. This is my first quarterback of the pick. I'm team 12, right?
Okay.
So, but
it's your sensibility.
Well,
it's you're drafting team 12 based on your sensibilities for positional value.
Right. And
which
now
are generally, as we saw with the Trevor Lawrence pick years ago, incorrect and wrong and inefficient.
I'm telling you, man, this is the right spot. Now, if you have Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes or any of these difference makers or separators, then you would not make this pick. But guys over at RotoWire said, don't be surprised if Drake May paces Jaden Daniels with rushing yards. 650, 700 rushing yards is in play for Drake May. He is going to rush and he's going to shock people. So I'm going to take the upside shot if I have a quarterback that's outside of the top 8, or say I have Anthony Richardson only, and I'm worried about, I don't want to start some, like Ryan Tannehill-ish type of quarterback, or I have Mac Jones and I want to clip him off my roster. Here's where I'm giving people permission to take May.
So I'll say that I don't mind the selection, and I agree with you. I think Drake May, the rushing upside is why he's appealing in these single QB drafts as opposed to JJ McCarthy, who I don't think is going to have that. But Drake May, Allen, I got at the 411. I got at the 405. I've been cleaning him up in the very end of the third, early fourth for this matter, because right now he can be a QB2 for me. On a lot of teams, it was naked QB in a shallow roster league. But I agree with you, Drake May. But I do think 212 is a little early. There's some, but I think your argument you make for him is excellent. But I don't think you need to go 212 on him.
If I only have pick 112, 212, 312, 412, I'm not screwing around. Whoever I could take right here, I'm not messing around. And if I need a quarterback, again, I've caveated it with, if I have a top 8 quarterback, I may not do this. You're up, Podfather. And I appreciate that because I haven't seen the ADP in single quarterback.
Oh, my God. I love this one receiver, but to draft him would just violate everything about my philosophy. But we're getting to a place where I can't let him keep sliding. He's a good player. He's just a really good player. Day 2 capital. I'm going Malachi Corley.
That was the other player I was thinking about taking over May. So I'm glad we're aligned here.
Okay.
Give me my guy Tyrone Tracy here.
Ooh.
And Tyrone Tracy's one that I've been taking a lot of shots on because right now the path to viability is there. Tyrone Tracy.
Thinking about Tracy. I was thinking about him. God damn it! This is what happens.
Sometimes falls a little later, Allen, but sometimes he's in that Kamani Vidal mix where people are like, all he's got is Devin Singletary ahead of him. It's an offense sort of devoid of explosive offensive talent besides, of course, Malik Neighbors. And Devin Singletary, that's not like a huge impediment. So
you see, everybody, you see what happens. You see what happens when you try to get cute. You see a guy with 90th percentile speed, burst, agility. Come on. Why? How? God damn it. He's 210 pounds. Oh, man. He had a 28 catch season in college.
So he's got the really interesting profile too to anybody that hasn't done their rookie drafts yet. Tracy was a wide receiver at Iowa in an offense that didn't and then he transfers over to Purdue, makes the switch to running back, and then has a productive rushing season in the Big Ten with little to no experience. So, this is a really interesting profile. This is a guy that Cody Carpentier, Thor Nystrom, a lot of people are on in the process, and and Matty Kiwoom, of course, big Tyrone Tracy guy. So Tracy landed about as well as you can for that range of the draft. Like the pathway is just as good as Kamani Vidal, in my opinion. It's sort of the discount Vidal at this point.
Yeah, our guy Trashman, I heard him over at Roster Watch saying that Eric Gray,
the worst take by Trashman. Cody Carpentier almost fell out of his chair.
Yeah,
Shout out to Dunlap and Cody. I mean, come on.
Well, let me tell you in case you haven't seen the video, Trash Man over at Roster Watch, who, by the way, I've learned better than to doubt the Trash Man. He thinks Eric Gray is next in line over Tyrone Tracy. He's got the pathway. So when Trash Man speaks, I listen. So I'm not as quick to dismiss him. I'm going to take JJ McCarthy. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm not going to do that. At the 303 guys, I like Bucky Irving more than everybody else, it seems like. I just think that if Rachaad White were to miss any time, that Bucky Irving is like a one-for-one replacement. Any running back that gets 25 receptions in a season, I'm interested in. He had 53 receptions in a season. I think all running backs, he led them in receptions. It's got to be close to it.
Yeah, led the country in running back receptions. It's the best backup Rachaad White has had, sort of better than anything he had last year. I've added Irving on a lot of my white teams, Alan.
Wait, you have segregated teams?
No, my Rachaad White teams.
Oh. What the fuck? What do you have, a team with Cooper Kupp and Ladd McConkey?
I have Kyle Juszczyk in my RB2 with Christian McCaffrey and Cooper Kupp and Adam Thielen. Team's awful.
Terrible human being. Yeah, I figure in lieu of the Tom Brady roast, we can make jokes again.
Yeah, Cooper DeJean, IDP, sure.
Yeah. Cooper DeJean for sure.
Okay, I know. So thank you for doing that. So basically, I'm already see how I'm paying the price. Everybody, the Malachi Corley pick. Now I didn't get Tyrone Tracy, but thankfully, Allen's taking a running back that's a total zero that has no chance of doing anything. So I love that. Thank you for jumping on that Bucky Irving grenade, because Rachaad White is the truth and Bucky Irving is fake. Isaiah Garendo. Isaac Garendo.
Ay.
What's wrong with ay? What do you mean?
He's the RB4 on the team.
What jersey number? They gave him some ridiculous jersey number, Alan. I saw this one.
Was it 6?
No, it was like the worst number ever for a running back. But I don't know. Garendo, we'll see. I mean, Matt's giving me a layup here at the 305.
Wait.
It's 49.
You guys weren't going to go
49.
Garendo? I'm trying to go based on ADP. I don't really like Garendo. Can I go back? I'm done with this. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not trying to predict ADP. Redo it.
Quit the draft.
Redo it.
Tyler Knabel, jump in. Tyler.
I want my guy. Give me Dylan Lobby. Fuck it. I'm done. I'm only getting my guys from now on. I'm not trying to guess ADP and try to get cute. These are independent teams anyway. I just want you got to get your guy. Give me Lobby.
Okay.
I'm not playing this game anymore. I don't want to play this game. I'm taking my ball and I'm going home.
Well,
I'm trying to guess what you guys are going to do. It's failing.
All right, 49
This is what you should do. This is what the listeners should do. Go Lobby.
Yep.
Well, I will go with the one Alan wants to take next pick, and that's Troy Franklin, who's been going a lot higher than this. And Troy Franklin has the pathway to being on the field on 2 wide receiver sets this year in Denver, playing with his college quarterback. Draft capital's bad, landing spot's good. Troy Franklin at 305.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely who I was going to take right there.
You guys.
So I'm going to take a big swing with a heavy bat. Javon Baker could be nothing, could be a home run pick. I like all the things he's been saying already. We'll see if he can play some football at the NFL level. I'm taking Baker there. 307 Podfather, your turn.
Whoo. All right. I'm doing it. I do like him. I don't care if he's slipping in drafts. I don't care. I'm going Will Shipley. I'm just grabbing great receivers, running backs that are great receivers, and let the depth charts shake out the way they shake out.
No issue with that here.
So I will go with Ray Davis, who I think, again, it's sort of the same argument for the Will Shipley play, is I think he'll be the handcuff running back in Buffalo right behind James Cook. And I think he could be in the Latavius Murray role, sort of a discount Marshawn Lloyd, where if they say Ray Davis can be our goal line back, then then that's going to be an interesting. It's not good for James Cook, but I don't think that's out of the range of possibilities that Ray Davis has used a little bit, like we saw Lat Murray last year. And if Cook goes down, Ray Davis also a very good pass catcher, Alan.
Yeah, well, that's Ray Davis. I mean, these are kind of Shipley, Ray Davis, Baker. These are all the type of picks I think that we can all agree on right here. Guys, I have a little disagreement about in tight end premium who the next guy off the board is. I'm not taking I'm going to take Theo Johnson here, basically. Darren Waller retiring, super athletic. I know Theo Johnson didn't do much production-wise in college, but, man, our guy Jim Coventry over at RotoWire did a profile on him, and it's all upside. In the third round is where you want to take your tight ends, late third round. I know there's some other players with some appeal, but if I'm a tight end needy team, if I had Darren Waller, right, Theo Johnson would be the pick I would actually make here.
Great first name. An unbelievable first name.
Very good. The OG Johnson.
That's right.
Podfather.
I'm not in love with the rest of the running backs. Again, I wasn't really trying to get Garendo. I was just trying to block you guys from getting him. But I'm thinking about Garendo here. I want to take a running back. There's a couple running backs I like. I'm not going Garendo. I didn't say draft him. I said I was thinking about him. Although, again, I can't now. My problem is I don't have any more legitimacy to give you shit because I've been failing and fucking up my picks for the last round and asking you to redo my picks. I can't beg you to redo my picks and then make fun of you, right? I can't do that. So now we're on even footing again. We're both having bad shows. So,
but not bad meaning bad.
You know what? You know what I'm going to draft here, guys. You know what I'm going to draft here? I want Michael Penix.
Yeah. It's a big pick right there. Big Penix.
Yep. Do you have any issues with that, Theo?
It's a little early. I think that, that once you get past the big two quarterbacks in single, you don't need to rush. You could wait a little while. Like I talked about Drake May, get him 2 rounds later. Same thing with Penix. I think you can get him like 2 rounds later because you also have the fact that people are going to have to. The perception of Penix is he's going to sit for at least a year. So I would let him fall to you if you want to get him in single QB leagues.
All right, so I'm tilting. I'm officially tilting.
I disagree. Given the market of this draft, Drake May won at the 210. If Penix is the next guy, right? I mean, Podfather, what's the under? What would you bet under or over a half a game started for Penix this season?
Over. That's why I like him.
There you go. There's your. Then you should take him.
I'm still tilting though. I'm definitely tilting.
So I will go with Jatavian Sanders, who I think is the next tight end in consideration. I probably have him a little bit ahead of Theo Johnson. He's going to step right in. Nothing too exciting about the pick, but I think it's a target tree that we really don't know a whole lot about, and I think Sanders will be the starting tight end there. The leader in Texas history for tight end receptions.
Yep. Guys, if I'm at the end of the third round, and I've already taken Brian Thomas, right, and Drake May, there's a couple wide receivers I like, but I'm going to start getting a little I want to add a running back just in case anything happens to Breece Hall. I think the Jets are a 10-win offense, and Braylon Allen has a chance to be the immediate goal line back. I'm not saying it's going to be a great pick, but if he does anything, at least he'll have some trade value because people liked him a lot before the draft. So I like Braylon Allen here.
I like Audric Estime.
Yeah.
That's who you're taking?
Yeah, I think Audric Estime, he has a chance to be productive this year. There's not a lot of competition for touches there in Denver, so I don't see why not. And by the way, Kirk Boyles in the chat, he thinks we're doing too many mock drafts, and he wants the old Sonic Truth. So Kirk, I know you're late to this, and that can't be your real headshot. So I don't believe that's your real headshot. But you know.
Do you want me to explain it?
He sold my grandfather life insurance with his headshot. There's no fucking way. So, listen, I have reached out to Nate. The old Sonic Truth was predicated on Nate Liss. Nate actually got back to me, and this was already covered earlier in the show, and we're going to have a talk this weekend, and we're going to see what happens. Also, people want these. This is what the people want. We are here to give people what they want. They want mock drafts. And also, this is not a typical mock draft where we're just running through it. And we are actually using each of these picks to give our analysis of these players and why we're selecting them. We're not just going through a mock draft the way you traditionally would. That's why it's taken an hour and a half to get through 4 rounds, because this is a platform for us to provide analysis of these players, but then also provide you with actual real-life rookie draft strategy interwoven with player analysis. So for me, I actually think this is really helpful. I'm learning a lot myself. And if you're not learning anything, you can shuffle off.
We'll be back with a more more traditional Sonic Truth next week, though.
Don't apologize.
No, apologizing, but it's sort of like,
defensive, Theo. There's going to be defensive. You cannot cede any ground to these people. Be like, don't worry, little guy. We'll come back with a show that's more like the old Sonic Truth next week. Don't give them any ground whatsoever. Cede 0 ground to these animals.
The original Sonic Truth with Nate Liss was very mock draft heavy. You guys didn't do it on a board, though. I mean, those are the shows that I listen to door to door. From first inning to the last. I mean, those are my favorites.
Kirk does not speak for the audience at all. Like, he would be voted down and booed off the stage if he tried to speak for the audience. Like, hey, this is what we want. No, don't listen to Kirk. He doesn't.
Well, he's going to be shocked when next week we do a Dynasty startup mock draft.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to keep it going. It's mock draft.
We should do that. Actually, do you want to do that from now on?
We are.
To spite Kirk. Actually, we had planned a traditional show, and instead we're actually just going to only do mock drafts just to spite Kirk.
And
we're going to do 2 more.
We'll get the overlay. We'll get Sonic Truth spite Kirk week.
Right. Yeah. Well, we're going to be doing a superflex startup mock draft with all players, and then the following week is a single quarterback mock draft, and then after that, we're going to maybe do a WNBA mock draft.
IDP.
So Kirk Bowles follows that up by saying, mock drafts suck. Okay. So, Kirk, I get it. You don't like mock drafts, but guess what? You suck. Okay. So how about that?
It's not really a mock draft. It's just a framework to have a discussion.
Stop being defensive.
I'm not. I'm explaining the joke if you didn't get it. That's all.
You need to come at full frontal assault on the buzzards in the chat. That is what you have to do.
Fair enough.
So an interesting value in rookie drafts right now is going to be my pick, and it's sort of the forgotten man, and that's Jalen McMillan, who's immediately a wide receiver 3 in Tampa, and there's 2 older wide receivers ahead of him. There's a scenario where, and they've already talked about how they're going to bump Chris Godwin into the slot, which could mean they're going to use McMillan not only inside, but also outside. I think they like McMillan more than the Dynasty community does right now. And this was a guy that was performing very well at Washington, had some injuries this year, but this is a 3rd round pick in a decent opportunity, nice talent profile.
Yeah, I like McMillan. I was thinking about him over Braylon Allen, but I knew that Luke McCaffrey was going to be here, and I think there's a lot of similarities with his immediate opportunity. So if 2 wide receiver sets are TMC and Jahan Dotson, Luke will probably get a chance to be on field in 3 wide receiver sets. So Podfather, you're up at 4-4.
Now it's time for Gorendo.
There you go.
Don't you think now is that we get some Isaac Gorendo?
Yes. I'm with it. Theo.
Okay. No complaints?
Not for me.
No, I think it's fine. So for me here, I could go a couple of ways, but I think I'm going to go with another tight end. I'm going to go Eric All. Tight end Cincinnati. I think he's got a path this year.
You're all in on him?
No, not necessarily all in on all, but I think in this range of the draft and tight end premium, it's worth a shot.
Yep. Podfather. Oh, I'm up at 4-6, guys. I mean, if you don't have a quarterback, you could do it here. But one of my favorite parts about the it's not the draft coverage you guys did was a argument between Jason Allwine and Matty Kiwoom over if Brendan Rice is draftable. And man, he's on the right team. He's drafted to the Chargers. Somebody said, well, they signed DJ Shark the other day. That's exactly who you want them to sign. I think that Brendan Rice, you'll know in the first 3 weeks if he's droppable or not. But man, there's certainly opportunity there and a depth chart that doesn't seem too hard to push people out of the way. I'm going to take Rice here.
Mark me down for Rasheen Ali. This is too easy. Yeah. This is where it's just too easy. I'm just taking the running backs I like. I'm done trying to guess what you guys are going to do.
Yeah, there's no ADP in the 4th round.
Yeah, and this is about the time I'll go J.J. McCarthy. In case I'm off on how they use him. Great weapons, and he's a very good athlete. Let's see how the fantasy production goes with the rushing ability.
Is Bo Nix even draftable in single quarterback?
Probably not.
No, right? What are you getting? What are you gaining? It's just the ultimate roster clogger, right?
Yeah. I think it's very hard to see him have a path to weekly viability in single. Whereas JJ McCarthy, you could make a bull case that this is going to be Kirk Cousins on steroids because it's like a plus level athlete, Kirk Cousins, down the line, with attached to great weapons and the ability to have correlation and stacking and all that sort of thing.
Yeah. I think I like Malik Washington a little bit better than the field last night. Matt Babbage and I were talking about Malik Washington.
That's a good pick. That's a good pick.
All right. Well, there you go. Nothing else needs to be said then.
That's it's just a massive upgrade over Braxton Berrios. That's what it is in a good way.
Mm-hmm. And what do you think about them signing Odell Beckham? Does that hurt him at all, or are you not worried about Beckham?
It hurts him a little bit. We'll see. Will Odell Beckham be on the week 1 roster is the question. Right. I mean, he's the same age as Allen Robinson. Is anyone worried about Allen Robinson? Am I considering Allen Robinson when I'm drafting Roman Wilson? No.
Allen Robinson,
the Giants,
is now a Giant as of a couple hours ago. So
Allen Robinson was released by the Steelers,
and then signed by the Giants.
Oh my God! Look at me. I am just
as of this morning, though, Matt. This was literally like 2 hours ago.
I'm late to a lot of fringe information.
Well, you're working on Fast Draft.
Ooh, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
A lot
How's it coming along, by the way, before the last couple picks here?
Fast Draft is on the verge of launching. Our investment round closes June 30th, so there's a rush that I'm dealing with there, processing paperwork, and we're through the final, we're at the final step with payment card processing.
Explain what it is for those who may not know, who are tuning in, relatively new. What is Fast Draft?
Fast Draft is a fantasy app that we are building and about to launch. I don't have a date, and I don't have any specifics about it that I'm willing to share yet. Everyone will be very well aware of what Fast Draft is, what it's all about, how to get it, how to play it. It's going to be incredible. It's something we've been working on for many years, and it's it's been all-consuming. Right. So, yes, if I'm not as aware of Allen Robinson's status in the league, and Fast Draft is a big reason why. But what's interesting is that, and that's why Billy hasn't been on as many podcasts. People ask, well, where's Billy? Where's Billy? Well, Billy's been getting us licensed in a lot of these states. He's been, working with PaySafe and PayPal and all these different vendors to get us set up for payment processing, which is the biggest hurdle. If you're running a real money fantasy app. But we did just get approved in Arizona. So in terms of states where you need to get licensed, we're licensed in Arizona, Ohio, Maryland, Alabama, New Jersey, New Hampshire, and then we have a bunch of Colorado, and we have a bunch of others pending that are in and should come in the next few months. So it's a very exciting time. It's a very nerve-wracking time because you have this thing like you've been building. It's like it's like a restaurant, right? Where you've had this idea in your head what the menu's going to be and how it's all going to be laid out and what the whole experience is going to be, and you're hiring all these people. And then, the day is going to come where you actually have to flip the sign on the door to open, and people are going to start coming in, and you're going to make sure they have great service. And it's a very anxious time. It's probably as anxious as I've ever been professionally.
Am I allowed to say that it's a rookie-centric product? Am I allowed to say something like that?
We have a contest that is rookie-centric, yes, but we are going to we're going to have a multitude of different types of contests.
Okay, that was
all best ball. Whether it be seasonal, whether it be weekly, we have a ton of cool contests that we're going to be coming out with. Basically, there are a lot of potential best ball contests that I've always thought should exist. And so I decided, we should do something about it. And so that's what Fast Draft is.
All right, good. Like I said, I thought it was a organic time to talk about it as we make our last 3 picks. I don't know who's up.
It's cool to kind of. I like that we're talking about it late in the show, so then we only have the loyalists.
Yeah.
Because again, I'm a little bit shy about getting too far out over my skis talking about it.
I understand.
But I did like that we were wearing the Fast Draft shirts at the draft, so that was cool just to kind of provide people with a little bit of a tease. What is that? And then eventually we're gonna be giving all the answers, right? So I think that the public has really wanted more, and there just have not been many fantasy platforms coming out because there's so many walls have been erected. It's a lot more difficult to get payment processing. It's a lot more difficult to get licensed and to be widely available. The app stores have made it more difficult. So it's been made more difficult across the board so that someone that just has a great idea for a fantasy game can't just do it tomorrow like they used to be able to. And fortunately, I was in a position where we could follow all the protocols and all the steps and make it happen. And so basically I said to myself, we're in this unique position where we have the capital, we have the staff, we have the know-how to do it. Then it's really our duty to do it because we know people want it.
All right. Look forward to that. I saw all the signage and merchandise at the draft show. So we each make 1 pick here. Let's just go Podfather, Theo, Alan. Is that how we're rounding out, guys? I don't remember where we were. Right, I made the Malik Washington. Yeah, it's your pick. I made the Malik Washington
pick because Team 10 drafted Trey Benson, Kamani Vidal, Michael Penix. This is great. And I'm just going to go right back to the running back and a running back that I like, a running back that has above average athleticism across the board. Was really productive in college. He's a guy that the roster watch guys like. Matty Kiwoom likes. 1,400 plus yards for 2 straight seasons. 20 plus catches for 2 straight seasons. He has the size to be a primary back. He just happens to be completely and utterly buried. But this is the time to take these guys where stranger things have happened, where multiple injuries have happened to a backfield. So give me Isaiah Davis.
Absolutely. Aaron Jones ended up being the better player than Jamal Williams, who was drafted later. So there's case. Theo.
No, I do. I do prefer Isaiah Davis in a vacuum. I prefer him to Braylon Allen.
So I'll say here, I love this value at the 411 to get Tez Walker. I think Tez Walker has a path to viability this year. I actually think he's the guy who's going to rise up during the summer because with that speed and that offense, I think there's going to be a little bit of hype on him.
Yep, that's who I was going to take. It seems like the last good player. Given the team I have here, I have 1 of every position. This is going to be my first drop in the real NFL draft. For the same reasons Podfather took Isaiah Davis, I'll take Frank Gore.
No. I think there's a good pick here. What about Wiley, the tight end?
I just would Travis Kelce's new contract. I don't want to wait 2 years.
It's that's
a new Noah Gray.
Okay. You don't want to put a guy in the taxi squad for 2 years. I get it.
Right. But that's who, if Travis Kelce hadn't signed this contract, I probably would say, you know what, that's a slam dunk pick. I already fell for the Noah Gray banana in the tailpipe. He's still sitting on rosters.
Yeah, I mean, 4th round with Jared Wiley, 91st percentile speed score. He checks a lot of the boxes of what an athletic breakout tight end is. And so I for the same reasons I like Isaiah Davis in this round, I'm just going to take a guy that in a super premium tight end format, I think he's a great pick here. Essentially, in the 4th round, I'm drafting a quarterback if a Michael Penix falls. I'm drafting a tight end like a Jared Wiley, happily doing it. Mostly drafting running back. The one position I'm not drafting, the position I won't touch, and you couldn't force me to do it. Like you would have to have my whole family kidnapped. It would have to be a complete and utter extortion situation. I wouldn't do it. Right, my life would have to be threatened in order for me to even think about drafting a wide receiver in round 4.
Theo, those are fighting words, man. But hey, great job.
Listen, it's just Tez Walker, guys. It's just Tez Walker.
Yeah, it'll be most likely the wide receivers that I took. Rice, you took Walker. I mean, McCaffrey and McMillan have more of a shot, but most likely those guys will be your first drops anyway. All right, great job, single quarterback mock draft, and just out of spite, I think we come back next week, Podfather, and we do another Dynasty startup mock draft for people that are now. I mean, I'm already getting invitations to do Dynasty startups again.
I'm doing one tonight on Dynasty Life.
There it is.
There it is.
Yeah, I think moving forward, our driving principle behind the show content that we plan for the Sonic Truth will be fuck Kirk Bowles. From the Podfather to you, I deeply appreciate you tuning in. And many ask, what can I do? What can I do to help support the host, the research they do, the production costs? Go to PlayerProfiler.com, Dynasty Deluxe, World Famous Draft Kit, Rankings, DFS Dominator, and of course, Data Analysis. Subscribe to any one of those, and you support all of us and take Player Profiler to the moon.